I've been thinking about Call of Duty a lot lately with the release of Modern Warfare 2, but more specifically, I've been thinking back on all of the different videos I've made on the series. It was over 6 years ago now since I made 2 videos about the Call of Duty DS games, and while I still quite like those videos, it was the first time anything I put on this website actually got viewed by more people than just me and my friends. One thing I kinda regret about it is how I only focused on the single player campaigns and completely glossed over everything else those games offered. Whether that be all the different challenge modes they had, the multiplayer, and, most importantly, zombies. For such a huge pillar of the franchise, it really deserved covering in more depth than a 50-second footnote in a 30-minute long 2-part series. So that's what I'm doing today, returning to Call of Duty Black Ops for the DS, and going in for a bit more of a deep dive into the world of Nintendo DS Zombies in this episode of Port Patrol, the show where we look at weird and interesting ports and spin-offs of our favourite games. So first, a little background as a refresher, or if you don't know much about the DS Call of Duty games, starting with Call of Duty 4 and ending with Modern Warfare 3, the DS games were all developed by N-Space, the team behind a lot of the Duke Nukem spin-offs and that Rugrats game on the PS1 that gave everyone nightmares as a kid. Over the course of the DS's lifetime, N-Space had their fingers in just about every IP you could imagine for the system, being responsible for the DS versions of Star Wars The Force Unleashed and Battlefront, 007 Bloodstone and GoldenEye, Tron, Toy Story, and a weird, completely unrelated minigame that came bundled with Tony Hawk's Motion. Not really sure what that's about. So, you know, basically every IP you can imagine, if you can only imagine like 5 of them. Basically, they were very busy, and I have absolutely no idea how they managed to find the time between all of these projects to also make yearly Call of Duty games, but they did, and they were pretty good. Obviously quite different to the games they're based on, a slower paced, more reserved interpretation of the high stakes, high octane action of the originals, but still a lot of fun, and amongst the best shooters you could find on the system. Though as the series went on, you could really feel those time constraints catching up to them. By the time of Black Ops, if you walked in a certain direction, you could see where the guns weren't always fully modelled, which was never an issue in the other games. Guns with scopes can't collect ammo from non-scoped guns because they never had time to implement an attachment system, so they're just treated as 2 separate guns. And Modern Warfare 3 reuses models from basically every game in the series at any point they could. So with that incredibly tight yearly release, it's amazing that they not only actually got these games out, but that they were also as good as they are, and also that they even had the time to implement their own spin on zombies. So, what is it like? If you were looking forward to seeing adorably cute, low-poly renditions of classic zombie maps, then I'll just disappoint you straight away. All the maps in this game are completely original, and have equally original names such as House, Facility, Temple, and Overlook. Don't overlook the zombies coming to get you. So, already off to a really strong start. 4 maps is a lot to play around with, and once you get into a map, it has all of the staples you would expect. Disembodied zombie voice laughing at you, check. We got weapons on the wall to buy, check. And zombies and the barriers they break down, Checkaroonie. Shoot the zombies to get points to unlock the doors and reach more parts of the map. Yep, it definitely is Call of Duty Zombies, but even if the setup is the same as what you would expect from zombies, you shouldn't expect it to be identical. This is a much different interpretation of what Zombies is compared to what you found in the actual Black Ops, being way more reminiscent of Nacht Untoten and the vibe early Zombies had. The feeling that you're never meant to make it far in these maps, the feeling that the zombies are actually supposed to be scary, and the feeling it's not meant to be a game mode you spend hours upon hours in grinding up to crazy high rounds, but instead just a fun little add-on that you would play with friends for a game or two once you got tired of the multiplayer. All of the maps are claustrophobic as hell, with tight, densely packed rooms and loads of blind corners where you won't see zombies coming. Aww. It really heightens the fear, because by the time you hear a zombie break down the barrier, it already feels like a threat because of how close together all these maps are. Every map only consists of 3 rooms, so all of them are smaller than what even the original Zombies was, and on top of that the maps don't loop around here either, so you can only progress into a dead end. Really emphasising that the strategy here is to not survive for long and train zombies, but to pick a room and defend it as best you can. It really ended up reminding me of the first times I played the original World at War Zombies as a kid, and didn't really know what I was doing. Running as fast as I could between each window to pick off zombies before they could get anywhere near me, treating it almost like a tower defense game. I found myself doing the same here, running between a set of windows in the corner I'd picked to hold myself up in, knowing that as long as I could keep them safe, I could be pretty certain of what direction the zombie horde would be coming from. And just to really seal the deal on how they wanted to channel the vibe of that early Zombies experience, there aren't even any perks, nor is there any way to upgrade your guns. You are not expected to survive in this game. I was trying as hard as I could, and I think the highest I managed to reach was round 10. It might not have been what I expected going in, but after adjusting and getting used to it, it was actually a lot of fun when it worked well. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things about this mode and how it's designed that make it way more frustrating than it should be, even with that design idea in mind, which is then also only compounded by the fact this is Black Ops on the DS and obviously rushed, making it a buggy experience on top of that. While the idea of a harder zombies mode that calls back to the series' origin is really cool, I do question the idea of doing it on a system where everything about playing it is already harder due to how it controls. Not that there's anything wrong with how it controls, they are as good as you could probably ever get on the DS. Everything on the bottom screen is laid out logically and is easy to get to. Dragging the centre to look and quickly tapping the top to aim down sight, or tapping your weapon to reload very quickly becomes second nature, but it's still a DS. And tapping these virtual buttons is never going to be as quick and responsive as pressing a physical button is, especially with how easy it can be to accidentally not tap where you want to. So you're slower, but the reaction times the game expects from you are perhaps the fastest Zombies has ever demanded. The maps are so small, the moment a zombie gets into your room it becomes an immediate threat, and it is so easy to panic and mess up your touchscreen presses in the heat of battle. Add onto this the smaller FOV you naturally have from the screen's aspect ratio, meaning you can't really see much around you either, and the fact that outside of breaking down a barrier, which in and of itself also happens way faster here than it's ever done in regular zombies, or getting shot, zombies are completely silent, meaning they can sneak up on you really easily as well. While there is a threat indicator that comes up when they're close to you, it comes up way too late. If you see that little zombie head pop up behind you, you're basically good as dead already. What would have been nice is if the game used the bottom screen map in literally any way, like in every other game mode where it shows you where the enemies are, but it doesn't do it here, it's just completely blank, and it would have been really appreciated in a mode where the odds are so stacked against you. The zombies themselves are just really annoying. It's very hard to actually tell if you've killed one or not, as stupid as that sounds. On the first round, a headshot is a guaranteed kill, so my brain instantly associated the red score counter as meaning I got a kill. But it doesn't mean that, it just means you got a headshot. It took a lot of unlearning to keep firing even when I saw that red number come up, because even though a headshot could mean death, a lot of the time it didn't. What doesn't help with that is the animation for a zombie getting hurt makes them stumble forward as if they're falling over. So I'd be shooting a zombie, see the red number, see the zombie duck down behind my gun, and be like, okay, nice, I killed it. Then I'd aim at the zombie behind them, only for that first one to pop its head back up. Also, sometimes they play a death sound when they die, and sometimes they don't. Look, there's just a lot of conflicting visual and audio information about if you kill a zombie or not, and literally everything about what I just said I would have been completely fine with, if it wasn't for the most perplexing choice of all. In this game mode where maps are tiny, your reaction time is hampered, and a lot of the time you're trying to even figure out if you killed what you're shooting at or not. Every enemy can kill you in just one hit. And I don't just mean the zombies, but also crawlers and the random dogs that can sometimes spawn halfway through a round, who are very small, again completely silent, and can very easily remain completely obscured by your gun. It made the mode very frustrating at times. Much like the original zombie map, it feels like a slow burn getting to the more exciting rounds, but unlike that game where the horde starts off manageable and slowly ramps up as you feel more and more overwhelmed with every passing round, here it feels like I spent the majority of my playtime in the starting room in the first few rounds, and then whenever it did get interesting, one tiny mistake would send me straight back to the start. It's still satisfying getting to those higher rounds, you know, like round 3, but for every satisfying game, there were like 5 others where it was all basically over immediately. And those occasional satisfying rounds are not enough to make up for all that disappointment, especially when considering how fast it's all over. Despite how long those early rounds felt like they dragged on for, even my best round score of 10 was a game that was literally 8 minutes long. It's so strange because as you're playing it, that constant anxiety that a zombie could hit you at any point makes it feel way longer than that, but then also because you spend so much time floundering about in those early rounds, you can play so many games in a row and feel like you've gotten absolutely nowhere. Also, it just kinda sucks that you could literally play a perfect game with no mistakes, and all you get out of it is 8 minutes of gameplay. Maybe that was the intention. Have the mode last for less time because it's on a portable system, but maybe this is too short. It's like those game demos that came with Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It's just nothing. You can play as good as you can, and the end result feels like you did nothing at all. Like I said, the idea of a harder zombies experience calling back to Nacht Untoten is really cool. And while there is a lot to like here because of that, I can't help but feel they just leaned way too hard into that difficulty, making an experience that would have been really hard on console or PC let alone on the DS, where it also comes bundled together with other small things about the mode that make it even harder. It's not just the zombies here that are difficult, it's everything. By far the biggest problem this mode has all stems to the length of the mode itself. Like I said, my longest match was only 8 minutes long, which only goes on to compound the other issues it has. Like, for such a short playtime, the point requirements on everything is massively inflated. The M14 is only 600 points normally, but here costs 1,800. And the door out the first room is 5,000. It would typically take me 4 rounds just to make that much money, so on average I ended up spending more than half my playtime here, just in each map's starting room. That last door is especially painful, costing 10,000 points to enter. And while it does feel very satisfying when you do eventually get enough money to open it up, it ends up feeling very hollow because at that point it's round 8 or 9. You'll get to spend like a minute there max before the zombies get you. Proportionally, compared to the length of the game mode, these prices are way too much. It is frustrating to finally have the whole map to play with, but never actually getting to play with it. I know why they had to make the prices so expensive, because otherwise you could open up the entire map too quickly, but it's not that it takes too long to open up the map, it's that the game ends too quickly after you get it open. Or, in the case of the majority of my attempts, never getting to open it in the first place. If you died straight after opening every room in Nacht or Kino de Toten, you'd consider it a bad game, but here that's all you can aspire to. I do find it interesting then that they decided to keep the mystery box, or the mystery wardrobe now I guess, at 950 points, which I think was definitely the right choice with how many crap weapons there are in it. There aren't actually many guns it can give you, and out of that small pool, so many of them are things you really don't want, like sniper rifles or grenade launchers. Making it 950 at least means you can get a few chances at a reroll for something you actually want, making it really tempting to go for compared to the 2,500 the M16 costs in the same room. I don't have anywhere else to put this in the video, but it did just make me laugh that the M16 is 2,500, but then the same gun, but with the grenade launcher, is 7,500 for some ungodly reason. Finally, the most frustrating aspect, and the ultimate reason why it's such a short game mode, is that the difficulty ramps up way too fast. It doesn't matter how good you are or what weapons you have, you'll very quickly run up against the wall where you just can't kill the zombies fast enough anymore. Even by round 2, a headshot with the starting pistol isn't enough to kill anymore, and by round 5 it takes 15 shots to the body with an M16 to kill one zombie. Headshots are the only way you have any chance of getting far in this game, but even that won't last forever. By round 10, even the PPSH, the fastest firing weapon in the game that I'm aware of, wasn't able to kill them fast enough anymore. That was on my best game, mind you, my absolute best, when I was actively exploiting the game's mechanics to give me the best possible chance. Playing the game normally, I quickly realised that running around to all the windows like I was doing before was actually just making the game harder for myself, because it only ever spawns zombies out of the 2 windows that are closest to you. So all I was effectively doing was spreading out the zombie spawns and making them way less predictable. Realising that, and instead choosing to plant myself in a location where I could easily see the 2 windows the zombies would be coming from, well, for a while it basically turned the game into Five Nights at Freddy's, but on the higher rounds was basically the only way to make the zombies remotely manageable, though obviously not for very long. Even when stood in a place where the only 2 windows the zombies could come from were directly in front of me, next to a wall that I could buy ammo for my gun from, and with the fastest firing gun in the game, all of that meant nothing when all of a sudden the zombies would take 40 bullets before going down, and maybe I could have lasted longer if I could aim for their heads easier, but as you can tell by the frame rate, that isn't really an option. You can really tell this game mode is pushing their engine to its absolute limits, barely holding a steady frame rate on round 1 when literally nothing is happening. And it only gets worse the more zombies it tries to throw at you. And even with this method, you still need to be careful not to get too close to the windows you're covering, because if you kill a zombie as they're breaking down a barrier, there's a chance for a split second they will get teleported inside to play their death animation, and just touching them that split second before that animation plays is enough to kill you. There's a lot here that really holds it back from being fun for longer than 5 minutes, crumbling apart the moment you try to play well at it in any way. No wonder I barely touched it when I made that original video. Which is such a shame, because outside of what I've said already, there is a lot here that really makes me want to like it. I can't believe it took me until now to touch on this, but I absolutely adore how this game looks. If you hadn't already guessed by how I basically completely stole this low poly DS aesthetic for my Patreon patrol segments. The low resolution textures, adorably chunky guns and reload animations, those PS1-ass flames on the temple level, the way colour and lighting is just part of all the textures. It's such a vibe that I absolutely fuck with, and part of what made me want to get to the 3rd room of all these maps to explore them all is just getting to take in more of that low poly goodness. And it manages to help convey a surprisingly effective atmosphere as well. It can genuinely be quite... okay, maybe scary is a bit of a strong word, but creepy, maybe? The maps are really dark and really claustrophobic, and couple that with the ambient music playing in the background, I don't know what to say, it's just a really cool vibe. I'm not about to come out on the internet. Well, I've done that. I'm not about to... I'm not... I derailed myself with my own stupid joke. I'm not about to come out on the internet and say I'm scared of zombies on the DS. But it did unsettle me a little bit. I mean, just look at the adorable ass spinning power-up and say you don't love it. I know I do, both how it looks and how they function here. Top 10 best segues I've ever done right there. You don't actually have to collect them here, Shooting them works too, which is really helpful because they can actually drop from zombies outside the map now. And to make up for the random wardrobe not moving anymore, instead of making it spawn everywhere with a huge discount, Fire Sale now gives a 50% discount on everything in the map, which made for some really satisfying moments where suddenly I could buy the final door for half price and even snag some of the best weapons in the map a few rounds earlier than I thought I'd be able to. You know, like a full 2 minutes of time saved right there. Yeah, there really is no escaping that. For as adorable as it looks, and for all the good original ideas it does have, it's just way too hard and over way too quickly. And with its one-hit downs and huge amount of damage needed to kill, makes it feel overwhelming to play solo. So, is it any better co-op?
I went down.
Wait, you went down already?
Although the official Nintendo Wi-Fi service closed down years ago, there are fans who have managed to keep it alive, and it wasn't even all that hard to get set up. Now, you might be surprised to hear this, but I couldn't actually find anyone online to play with. I know, I was shocked as well, but thankfully I had some very patient and great friends who, for some reason, actually agreed to play Black Ops on the DS multiplayer with me. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd be uttering any time past 2012.
0, 5, 6, 4.
How many sixes?
3,
6.
It's an omen.
So this video is going to go on a bit of a tangent here. Originally, I was just going to talk about the experience of playing Zombies co-op, but it seemed like a waste not to at least try out the multiplayer while we were all together, and oh my god, I regret not trying this out when I made that old video. I was expecting just a silly little tagged on side mode that didn't really have a lot going for it, but shit, it has like class loadouts, leveling up, perks and everything. Even has customizable titles as well, which is great because the friend code was really not doing it for me catchiness wise. There's a surprising amount of maps to choose from. Again, seems like a bit of a missed opportunity to not have anything from the main games here. Tell me Nintendo DS Nuketown wouldn't have been the cutest thing ever. And a good amount of game modes to play as well. And by that I mean basically deathmatch and capture the flag, and then team versions of those, as well as another mode called sabotage we couldn't play because there was only 3 of us. But I mean, that's still more than I was expecting. I mean, hell, it even has hit markers. They really tried their best here. The connection between us all was practically flawless, which I was shocked at because there was an entire ocean between us. And we actually had a lot of stupid fun with it.
Ah. That's pretty good. I no-scope you from all over here.
Oh my god.
Don't watch the kill cam. It shows me hard scoping.
It's like a mix between Call of Duty and the design sensibilities of something like GoldenEye or Timesplitters. The maps are small, so you're never left wandering about trying to find each other. Gunfights are often frantically hectic, being absolute clusterfucks half the time.
What's going on? What's all that racket?
Oh, fuck. God damn it.
What the hell?
And check out the adorable spinning guns. This game rocks. So, silly dumb fun? Yeah. Balanced? Absolutely not. By default, you can bring 2 primary weapons with you, and even with the majority of the guns locked behind level requirements, one of the starter weapons is also the shotgun, which can fire as fast as you can press the button. So you can probably imagine what the majority of our matches look like.
Fuck you!
Mission. No! Shit. You fucker.
Climb the ladder, Jay.
I don't think I fucking will. had it for 2 seconds.
Mr. J.
Why? I just spawned like a second ago.
Oh, fuck you!
No. Oh, there's a grenade in there. You know, mate. Oh,
Oh, god damn it.
I'll peer my cheeky head around the corner.
Also, the first perk you unlock after leveling up 1 time gives you 5 seconds of invulnerability every time you spawn. It's not a game you're gonna take seriously, especially when you get stuff like 2 people's capture the flag bases being on top of ladders and the 3rd being on the floor. Like, in what world is that fair? But also, I mean, would you have ever taken this game seriously? Like, even when it came out? Would you have been playing Black Ops on the DS competitively? It is what it is, and if you can, I highly recommend getting some friends together and playing it online. It is genuinely some of the most fun we've had playing together in a long time. We also took the chance to try Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer mode, which is even better, to be honest. I killed you with my gun.
You
You guys are gonna keep murdering each other till the end of time.
Hello.
Dude! Stop! Stop!
You said it like, oh my god, why does he keep doing that?
Yes. It's cute. They have like callbacks and remakes of older multiplayer maps from across the DS's series' history here, and even extra game modes like Gun Game and One in the Chamber. They really went above and beyond with the multiplayer aspect of these games. Way more fun than they had any business being. Highly recommended. Anyway, as for zombies, remember when that was what this video was about? Unfortunately, Zombies on DS is 2-player only, so we had to take turns, but yeah, playing with a second person definitely helps sand down the rough parts of playing this game. On top of, you know, it just being more fun to play with someone else, actually getting a second chance when you've made a mistake really helped make it less frustrating. And being able to revive your friends instantly when they're down is very appreciated too.
Oh my god.
Ooh! Oh no!
Oh my god, you're doing so much better than when I played with you.
Behind you, behind you, behind you!
Run. Oh. We were playing super casually, just shooting the shit as we played, not really trying that hard, and on our second game we already matched how well I'd done solo when I was trying my absolute hardest, after playing like 2.5 hours straight, trying my best to get as far as I could. So it does seem a lot more well suited for co-op, which just makes it a shame something to make it easier for solo players wasn't implemented. I honestly think like having a life system or 1 self-revive per game would have been enough to offset a lot of the frustration, though obviously that still wouldn't help with the ultimate biggest issue of the difficulty ramping up too high, too fast. Call of Duty Zombies on the DS has a lot going for it. The atmosphere and the general structure of Zombies is nailed here, but probably due to the rushed development of the game means that it is just way too hard and way too unpolished to be anything more than a novelty. It's a shame that it never made a comeback in Modern Warfare 3, seeing all the legwork they put into making the mode, as they probably could have polished it up quite a lot. If you are interested in trying out the mode, I would definitely recommend getting some friends together and playing it that way, because then you can also play the surprisingly fun multiplayer mode. Or if you're more in it for the maps and don't really care about playing it on the DS, then there have been a couple fan recreations of these maps for the games on PC. There are remakes of House, Facility and Temple in Black Ops 3. If you wanted a bit more authenticity, then for the original Black Ops there's also a remake of Facility you could try out. And probably the craziest one, if you have a PlayStation and a copy of Dreams, Someone has even completely remade Facility there. Clearly this game mode and these maps had its fans back in the day, and even though I had this game as it came out, it's not really a side of it I truly ever engaged with because I also had the actual Black Ops on Xbox. So, what was it like back then? If anyone's watching this and was playing Black Ops on the DS regularly, you know, what was it like? What was the multiplayer scene like? What was Zombies Online like? How far did anyone get? I'd love to hear about it all. It's a part of DS history that I'm almost a little sad I missed out on.